What's going on, everyone? We're back for another We're Racing video. And of course, it's the Monaco Grand Prix in tribute for the late, great Niki Lauda. So the starting grid was Lewis Hamilton, Bottas, Max Verstappen, Vettel, K-Mag, Danny Rick, Danny Kvyat, Pierre Gasly, Carlos Sainz, Albon, Hulkenberg, Norris, Grosjean, Raikkonen, Leclerc, Perez, Stroll, Giovinazzi, then Russell and Kubica rounding out the grid. What was we going to get today? Was we going to get an exciting race? Was we going to get a procession round here? The start was a pretty clean one, we must say. Valtteri Bottas got a bit of a tardy start. This allowed Max Verstappen up the inside going into turn one. And now this is where I think the difference is with Max Verstappen. He was a bit cautious there. He did back out of it and he lived to fight another day. And he did manage to get in front of Bottas after that unsafe release. So, yeah, great bit of driving from both of them there to make it through turn one unscathed, and the rest of the field, we must say. But there it was Lewis Hamilton in a pretty commanding position. He had pace in his car, and Valtteri Bottas was putting pressure on him as well. Here's some images from later in the race where he was getting chased down by Max Verstappen. But when he did pit, Bottas pitted behind him as well, which meant that he did have a bit more of a tardy start. And here we can see the unsafe release of Max Verstappen into the path of Valtteri Bottas, which damaged his car and also, got a penalty for that as well. So what was your thoughts on that? It was exciting stuff, but definitely dangerous with all their mechanics round in the pits. Lewis Hamilton got back out. He was on the medium tyre. The others opted to go on the harder tyre. So this put him under pressure from Max Verstappen because he was trying to manage his tyres the best he could, because he was going to do more than the 50-lap duration, which was recommended. The front left in particular was really struggling throughout that final phase of the Grand Prix. And Lewis was on the radio, which we'll hear a bit shortly about. Was really complaining that he didn't have the pace in the car, and he was really shitting himself because the one person you don't want to see in your mirrors is Max Verstappen, because you know he's going to take a lunge. Here he is round the outside going into the hairpin. He was trying every which way he could, and it was a bit reminiscent of Mansell and Senna. Here we can see going into the chicane. There was the lockup. It subsequently hit the rear right of Lewis Hamilton, the rear left, sorry, and caused him to go on. This did penalise Max Verstappen because he lost some time, about a second to Lewis there. Lewis rode it home and, collected his win. Dominant performance, you must say. Really managed it. The strategy wasn't great for him, putting him on that tyre, but that's all in hindsight, I suppose. We didn't know if there was going to be the threat of rain. That was always looming on the radar. Great performance. Niki would be proud. Really brought it home. Max Verstappen, how he hounded him. It was a great drive from him as well. And here we can see the tribute helmets, beautiful, and everyone wearing the red caps as well in tribute of the late Niki Lauda. Valtteri Bottas was really hampered by that unsafe release, was in a good position prior to that. It could have been another Mercedes 1-2 if it wasn't for that unsafe release. So we got to thank Red Bull for that, for mixing it up after the first 5 rounds, for instance. A solid performance from the Red Bull boys. They've got the pace in the car. Max is showing it right now that they are ahead of Ferrari at a track like this. So the boss said both teams performed strongly all weekend and managed the race strategy very well. Now we take a break from Europe and head to Montreal. The track there is very different to this one, so we'll be working hard on the power unit development before going to China. I think they're taking real strides now with their power unit. I think they are definitely ahead of the likes of Renault. Are they on par with a Ferrari or Mercedes? This is yet to be seen. But with Adrian Newey doing his magic, this car is definitely going to challenge for race wins. And I do predict we'll get a race win before the end of the season, especially with Max Verstappen. He's had probably the best start to the season in years gone by. Charles Leclerc starting out of position, really punchy, getting them early overtakes, taking lunges, taking risks. And one of them didn't pay off here. He did end up with a puncher, which completely destroyed that rear right of the floor there. As you can see, all the damage that's caused by that flailing tyre. And he was forced to later retire from the race at his home Grand Prix. Really disappointing there for Charles Leclerc. And it's just not going well, is it? It's not been the greatest start. There's been some dynamics. Sebastian Vettel, P2. That's a great result for them. I don't think they would have expected it if the Mercedes had have kept it clean. So Vettel will definitely take that bag of points, that's for sure. He didn't really threaten throughout the race. He was just there or thereabouts, just pondering around. But nevertheless, good bag of points McLaren continuing to impress me throughout the opening stages of this season, really putting in consistent performances, bagging points on a consistent basis, and looking like a really drivable car right now. So credit where credit's due. Let's have a look at Carlos Sainz start. It's an incredible start here. Pretty clean here, holds the inside, sees the Red Bull there of Gasly. Slots into position, doesn't mind, waits his turn. Get clean on the power here. Drag race up the hill, look at this. Wheel to wheel stuff. Claims the position, goes to the outside again. 2 cars right now. What a lovely overtake that was. Good driving there, Carlos. Very impressed, I must say. So yeah, great bag of points for the McLaren boys. Unfortunately for Norris, it was, it was a good experience, I would definitely say, for him during this weekend. He just missed out in quali, which did hamper him in the race because this is the one track that you need track position. It's not really about tyre strategy. You just need to be on the road, as we saw with Lewis. So he had no tyres. And early in the race, he had to come in together with Charles Leclerc. A little love tap there. Look at this for an incident. We got some marshals on the track. And Sergio Perez, really thankfully, he didn't hit anyone. Lewis going for a dip. Well deserved. Red Bull said they could have used their pool, but he didn't ask. So he went for the swimming pool himself. Here we can see how Valtteri Bottas, during free practice, doing a little drift, getting them burnouts in.
Does James think I'm in trouble with these tyres?
So this is Lewis on team radio.
I don't know how long they can last.
Yeah, Lewis, what you're doing is great. Just keep the management up and it'll all go our way.
We're going to lose this race, Monaco. I can't look after the tyres anymore. They're dead.
So Lewis, just thinking about it, if we manage to the same pace as the cars in front and you can still hold Verstappen behind, then we won't have to pass any of them.
I can't keep the car behind, Mono. Can you not see that?
Yeah, no problem, Lewis. Yep, hear you loud and clear. Verstappen's been there all race.
Been there all race.
I don't know what you're thinking when you keep these tyres on, man. You need to hope for a miracle.
Lewis, it's James. You can do this. We trust in it.
How was the talk on the radio with
Here's
Lewis?
the reaction to the strategy.
Good. I think the talk now is going to be a little bit more fun, but it was good.
What do you think? What do you expect?
I suspect Lewis will come back and say, why did you fit those
gonna
tyres? Which I'll respond, we shouldn't have fit those tyres. And that will be about it. I hope he gives me a hug, first and foremost. Then a slight expression of joy. And then maybe we go into seriously talking about why we didn't do that quite right.
Lewis.
Piss off! You bastard! Well done, sir. That's giving me tyres for 68
That's for giving me medium
They
toes.
wouldn't get to the end. They didn't make it to the end. Anyway, well done. No, I'm not giving you a fucking Good job.
Oh, Jesus, man.
So a great bit of comedy relief there. So it finished Lewis Hamilton, Vettel, Bottas, Verstappen with his time penalty, Gasly, Sainz, Kvyat, Albon, Danny Rick, Grosjean, Norris, Magnussen, Perez, Hulkenberg, Russell, Stroll, Raikkonen, Kubica, Giovinazzi. Did not finish Charles Leclerc, and Pierre Gasly with the fastest lap, a 1:14.279. I don't think that's a track record. I think it still stands from Verstappen from the previous year. But standout performances for me, Carlos Sainz really drove the wheels off that McLaren, and both of the Toro Rosso boys, look at that, Danny Kvyat and Alexander Albon, really getting some solid points right now, and Alfa Romeo languishing right down there in the constructor standings. They're really suffering right now. Also, I was going to say the Force India again, the Racing Point, not really, that upgrade hasn't really delivered what they expected. The Renault boys, it's looking promising. They've got on top of their reliability issues. Apparently, it was a Conrod issue. Here we can see some of the strategies. So Hamilton, Vettel, Bottas, and Verstappen all pitted on lap 11. But it was Hamilton, that was on the medium tyres, the rest of them on the harder. You can see Williams with a 2-second stop, really been crunching it, and they've always been good at pit stops. That's one thing they're fastest at, so credit to them. Ferrari 2.4, Red Bull as well. So yeah, looking pretty good. How was the Renault boys performing? We expected big things from Danny Rick. He really put in a solid quali performance. He managed to bring it home in P9, but he was really hampered, wasn't in the right place at the right time. So the boss said, after the good qualifying yesterday, we thought a big part of the job had been done. Unfortunately, the single most important decision of the day was to stop Daniel under the safety car. It turned out to be the wrong one on the basis it gave McLaren the opportunity to execute a smart strategy with Norris staying out and giving Sainz the opportunity. A small positive, moving on. So yeah, Danny Rick, what was his comments after the race? So he said it was a very frustrating race, to be honest. We had a great start, jump K-Mag on the outside for 5th, and then had a strong turn 1. Then we pitted under the safety car, which is where we missed out. We definitely could have done better and had got a good result, but we had all the cards in our hands. We'll look what happened and address it for the future. Yeah, it could have got a great bag of points. It's the gamble you have to take, and there's winners and losers. It could have been a great decision, got him on the podium. You never know. Nico Hulkenberg said, nothing went our way today. We made a decent start, kept it clean off the line, and then we suffered a puncher after Charles Leclerc sliced my tyre open. Luckily, I didn't hit the wall, but the safety car meant everyone gained on me. And from then, it was... I was at the back of the training and it was difficult to recover from there. A pretty hard race by the sound of it for Nico Hulkenberg. Hasn't really had a great start to the year. What about this man, the Iceman, in his 300th Grand Prix, has joined a list of very few men who've completed 300 Grand Prix, some of the greatest drivers in this motorsport. And celebrated with some cake. He wanted to cancel all of the plans, did Kimi Raikkonen, but at heart he's a true party man. And here we can see him with some of his previous bosses, of course the Ferrari connection there, and of course Alfa Romeo as well. So if you eat that cake, I'm going to hit you. I don't know what he's saying. Caption this. Let me know your thoughts. Haas, it could have been better. Kevin Magnussen had a great qualifying yesterday, really looking like to score some solid points, but it was Roman Grosjean who finished 10th and Kevin Magnussen in 12th. So yeah, really disappointing. What could have been, should have been. And that's the story of their season as well. They're pretty struggling. They've got a fast car under there, but it's just trying to understand it. Racing Point, like I said earlier, they brought that update to Barcelona, which is their 2019 car. I hope you have a stroll through the field today. No pun intended. But yeah, it's not really worked out. It's not their kind of track anyway. Canada, the next race should suit them a lot better. So expect them, potentially Alfa Romeo, to be a bit quicker in the coming race. So they finished 13th and 16th at this Grand Prix, which is, not great at all. The Williams boys, they had an opportunity to actually have cars behind them at this Grand Prix because it's so hard to overtake. And Kubica really had a strong start, gained 2 positions at the first lap, was really showing Russell how it's done. And Russell got, I think, the option to stop first, and that did anger the veteran in Kubica. We had Maldonado back at Williams. What a character he is. Love him or hate him. We had this incident where Russell got spun around, and then it was just a four-wheeled roadblock, as it were, and he had to back up, and then he managed to get away, and the race continued. So Lewis said that was probably the hardest race I've had. It was trying to stay focused and make Nicky proud. Honestly, I was driving around on nothing, but I wasn't going to pit again. I was either going to crash or finish. So Bottas is saying disappointing weekend for him. And Eddie Jordan saying, how often does Bottas let himself be the victim? For me, this is one of the key things that Lewis has over him in the championship this season. Sebastian Vettel said it was a tough race to manage. I struggled a bit towards the end of the race with my rear tyres. They were just not getting hot. A great result for the team. We have worked a lot of work to do. The next race should favour them. Max said, I gave it all today and I had a fun race. I think we were very competitive and I enjoyed putting the pressure on. They definitely had the best race pace there. Pierre said it was a really positive day and we can be pleased with 5th position after starting 8th. And here we can see Lewis Hamilton with 137 points to his teammates 120. Then we had Vettel on 82, Verstappen on 78. So Vettel's just gone ahead of him now. Leclerc on 57, then Gasly 32, then we got Sainz and so forth. So what did you think of the race? Who was your driver of the day? What was your standout move in the race? Leclerc certainly entertained us in the early stages of this race, but there was plenty of attempts at overtakes. So I was pretty happy with that. Pretty happy to see Lewis coming under pressure from Max Verstappen. And yeah, good things to come, I must say, from Red Bull. They're already going to get stronger throughout this season. So I think they're going to really take the fight to Ferrari. They need to pull their finger out in the next couple of races, or Mercedes are just going to run away with it. And it's going to be mathematically over with about 5 rounds to go at this rate. So, yeah, what was your thoughts on the race? Drop a comment below, give a like, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to see more videos, and I'll see you again soon.